What's happening, YouTube? Roshad Lamar here. I got another video for y'all. This one's something I'm really looking forward to. Crash Bandicoot 4. So this is made by a totally different company. So Activision's actually owned the Crash brand for like a really long time. I believe since way back in the day when Naughty Dog gave up the rights to it to Activision. And ever since then, the series has been trash. Things have changed now. They finally did a fourth in the series. Is it good? That's gonna be the question. Coming right up. Let's get it, y'all. Hey YouTube family, Roshad Lamar here. I appreciate y'all checking out another one of my videos. If you're enjoying this content, do me a favor, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Quick little backstory for y'all. I actually got this game, Crash Bandicoot Warped. That was my first intro to the series. I got this game for Christmas. I forget when Crash Warped came out, but I believe it was in the 90s. So I got this game for Christmas. Just got a PlayStation. I got it like all together. Really loved the game. So that was my introduction to the series. Years later, ended up playing Crash 1 and 2. Enjoyed those as well, but Crash Warped was my favorite. So I just so happened to like that game the best. So at the time, I enjoyed that game. Enjoyed the Crash trilogy. I just played the remastered original trilogy. Had a lot of fun with that. So how does this compare? That's the real serious question. We're gonna talk about all the different categories. It's gonna be a pretty in-depth review. So sit tight. Let's get into it, y'all.
Crash! Crash! Crash!
So let's jump into the story real quick. How this pops off is pretty lit. It's really just like the old school games where it's really well animated, really great voice acting. You jump into some cockamamie story, and I actually credit them for making an attempt. I don't know why, like Nintendo, for example, they don't like to make attempts at story most of the time in like Mario games and stuff. But in the Crash games, they always do, even if it doesn't really make any sense, but it's always a lot of fun. And that's what I love about it. Just use your imagination and have fun with it. So Cortex was the main antagonist for the entire series. Him and Entropy, at the end of Crash Warped, they were fighting over the Uka Uka mask. If anybody remembers that, way back, however many years ago that was. So they were fighting over the mask, and they were babies, because after you defeat them, they get sent back in time, and they're babies. So apparently after all this time, the story goes that ever since then, all the way to now, they've grown back up, and Uka Uka, he powers up, he goes Super Saiyan or something, and he uses his power, and he opens up like a quantum realm or a quantum rip in time or something. So Entropy and Cortex both escape, and they leave Uka Uka there. You know, so they just leave him there. They're like, you've served your purpose, and they just leave him. So then the story goes, Entropy and Cortex are of course up to no good again. So now Crash and Coco have to stop them. The quantum masks are unleashed, and the quantum masks are actually apparently good guys, and they help you out. You use them as powers along the way, and we're going to talk about that in a pretty good in-depth analysis of the different gameplay mechanics and whatnot. But the story starts out pretty cool, very well animated, very good voice acting, lip syncing. Everything was really solid, and I was actually pretty impressed by it.
Don't worry, we have a thing where we fight, he loses. It's a well-established dynamic.
Not this time. I've got a backstage pass for you to get up close and personal with my weapon of mass percussion. I'm ready to rock.
So, quick character breakdown for y'all. There's a lot of characters in this game. In case you didn't know, so I haven't seen any trailers. I'm going to say that in every review that I do, because I usually I've seen like one trailer, but I haven't seen like how many characters were in it before. So I didn't really know. I just knew, like, I think Cortex, they showed him in like the first trailer, I think they showed him, or I saw somewhere that you could play as him. So sorry for anybody who doesn't happen to know that. You can play as Cortex in the game, but it doesn't happen until pretty late into the game actually. But there's a lot of characters in this game, and quite a few playable characters. But just the characters in general, of course, is Crash, Coco has become like the main staple of being playable in the series, which is something I really like. You have Engine, who's one of my favorite characters. Embryo, who's definitely not one of my favorite characters. Dingodile. And you have Tana.
Tana? But you're different. You're not from our universe.
Who the hell even remembers who the hell Tana is, man? So I think I recall Tana from, she was either in the first game or Crash Team Racing or both. But she's definitely a lot different in this game. Playable character, and we're going to go into the gameplay styles for all the characters, but I was pretty impressed by the overall roster. I think there's a couple more characters, but those are like the main ones. And I actually enjoyed all the different characters that they had. All very well voice acted, all really nicely designed. A redesign for Tana, which you're obviously going to see up on the screen at some point. But I really enjoyed the way everything panned out for the characters. And the overall roster was pretty solid.
Delicious.
The graphics for all the levels are awesome. Character designs awesome. Enemy designs are A1, just in terms of how they look and how well they're animated. There's some really interesting level themes as well. They got like this cool Asian themed level. There's like this metropolitan themed level. There's even like an alien themed level, like really crazy stuff and really well thought out, very unique to the series. You know, I'm sure there's some nerd out there like, oh, well, you don't remember in Crash Bandicoot 1 where they had such and such. No, I don't remember, man. I don't fucking remember. So I did play their trilogy, but I feel like they really went against some of the tropes. There is the classic like fire and ice sort of stuff and like the factory type of stuff. So that type of stuff is in the game, right? But I do feel like the overall level of creativity for like the type of stuff they went for was really amazing. There's even a carnival level, which I think a lot of people, it ended up being a lot of folks' favorite just because it was so unexpected. It kind of comes out of nowhere. Yo, this is fun as fuck. Look at this bitch's face. When you land on it, he like, yo, get the fuck off me, bitch. That's pretty cool. Guys, so let's cut the bullshit. Let's just go ahead and jump into the gameplay, alright? So, there's a lot of shit to break down here, a lot of stuff that's new. Some of this stuff may have popped up in some of those other like little spin-off games here and there, but who gives a fuck about those games? Like, a lot of this stuff I didn't see in the original Crash 1, 2, and 3. The main thing being the main kind of gimmick or mechanic of the game is the quantum mask that you have. So the first one that you get is the phase mask. So you can actually use this mask to kind of phase things in and out of reality. It makes some of the craziest, most ridiculous gameplay challenges I've like ever seen. So it's not that this hasn't been done before in a game, but I can't really remember like playing a platformer game where it was done like in this way. I've seen things kind of phase in and out, maybe like on a timed basis or something like that. But in this game, you actually have to control it yourself, and they can make some just straight up brutal tasks just because of that one mask. And that's just really getting started. You also have the dark matter mask, which kind of allows you to do this infinite spin, and you pretty much destroy anything in your path, except if there's any freaking TNT and nitro, and it just blows you the fuck up and you die. So they make it a real pain in the ass to try to get through the stages. And of course, what do? As soon as they give you the dark matter quantum mask, they put TNT and nitro every fucking where, right? So really fun. You can use it to kind of like jump into the air and kind of like slowly glide downward. So it works out really well and adds in a lot of new mechanics. The next thing would be the quantum mask of time, so you can actually slow time. Most people were aware of this. The full title for the game is Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, or Crash 4, It's About Time. It's one of those. So the main thing that everyone thinks about is time when they think of the game. So most people already knew you could kind of slow time. That's pretty much the most straightforward ability, and probably the one that leads to like the least amount of really insane challenges with the time slowing. You just kind of gotta slow down time. Some platforms are moving super fast or something, and you just jump on them while time is slowed down, and you gotta kind of be quick because time is gonna speed back up. The reason why it doesn't add too many crazy challenges is because as long as you time the stop really well, then nothing's really going to be able to hit you during that time stop. So it's not like there's anything that's immune to it. It stops the enemies, the levels, and everything. So if you stop the time at the right time, then you're pretty much solid no matter what. So that one is the easiest one to use and to master. The last one that you get, which I don't know if most people know, is the quantum mass that grants the ability of gravity. Now that one can get really freaking crazy because you're like, you know, running on top of like the ceiling and going back and forth over and over again. And in classic Crash Bandicoot difficulty, or at least in like the first 2 games of the series, they just get ridiculous with the difficulty for the mask. And later on, they start even combining them together in terms of different level mechanics, and you jump from using one mask to the next all in the same level. So it gets really freaking intense, and I loved it. It was a hell of a lot of fun. Oh my god. Okay, damn, I gotta get these boxes. Fuck. Okay. Alright, do this flip shit. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Ah! Oh shit. And my heart can't take this shit, man. Gotcha. All the level design in this game is incredible. Like, there's 38 main levels, and there's also some additional levels that we'll get into a little bit later. But all the level design is crazy. The levels in this game seem like they're really freaking long. I remember even toward the beginning of the game, I felt like the very first level of the game was like a little bit longer than some of the like end stages for the previous games. You know, as things progress in the previous games, the levels will get kind of longer and longer and more challenging. But even like the very first and second level of this game are pretty dang long, and they only get longer as things progress. That makes certain challenges extremely difficult, like the time trial challenges that you have. So after you beat a level, you can do a time trial challenge for that level, and you have to make it through the entire level without losing any lives. It makes it freaking brutal just to make it through some of the levels, because when you get closer to the end of the game, they're not fucking around anymore. You will get your ass handed to you, especially the last level of the game. It's got to be the hardest final level of any Crash game I've ever played. The overall difficulty for this game is through the freaking roof. Like, I was getting my ass handed to me non-stop in this game. Like, toward the beginning, I felt like it was already pretty challenging, but there's just so many gameplay challenges, and they keep combining them all together. It just gets pretty ridiculous. There's also some new boxes. For example, there's a box of fruit, Wampa fruit, that gives you 25 Wampa fruit. There's a box that I don't know what it's called, but it's like it blows flame out of all the sides of it. So if you get too close up to it while it's blowing flames, then of course you go up and freaking smoke. There's also some boxes that you can only either stomp out or belly flop, or whatever the move is called, to break those boxes. So a couple new mechanics here and there. With the time stop ability, you know, I guess maybe I did underestimate or maybe understate the time quantum mask ability, because you can actually step on nitro crates, which is a really cool feature that I definitely was not expecting. So you can step on nitro crates because they take so long to explode. You can step on them, and they do come up with some pretty insane challenges for that as well. One of the things that I don't know if anyone's mentioned in any other review, because I haven't seen any, is the freaking bonus stages. So is it just me, or is a bonus stage It's supposed to be like just this kind of fun and whimsical thing. But in this game, no. The bonus stages are impossible. They're brutal as hell. They're so freaking ridiculous. I spent more time on the bonus stages a lot of the time than I did on the entirety of the main levels. Like, some of those bonus stages were so freaking hard just to even figure out what to do. They made them more like almost like a puzzle, where you pretty much have to do trial and error and sometimes die over and over again until you figure out exactly what order you have to complete the bonus stage in. It is freaking wild, and damn, I loved it. Alright, fucking ice almost got my dumb ass. Let's get up here. Watched it. Fuck. Almost got caught again. Down on the shit. Time stop, motherfucker. Wait a minute. I can't get the box anymore? This is bullshit, man. Damn it. So for anybody who didn't catch what my problem was here, this switch here activates. Once I hit it and activate it, then I can't get the box any longer. It's like I'm timed, so I have to quickly haul ass all the way over here because these assholes put a box under these metal iron blocks or whatever the hell they're called. So they do stuff like this in a lot of the bonus stages, and it's a serious pain in the ass. So on top of all the other stuff I mentioned, you can also play as a couple additional characters. So you can play as Crash and Coco, but they're virtually identical except for appearances, right? But you can also play as, you know, this is, if you don't want to know this, I'm not going to spoil the entire game. And when I get to some points I feel like are major spoilers, I'll put that in the review. So don't worry about it if you haven't got to this point in the game. You're safe to watch the review, and I'll put some timestamps so you won't know like how the game ends and what the last couple levels are like and stuff like that. But I will mention all the playable characters in the game. If there's anything that's a secret, then I won't mention that. So you get to play as Tana, as I mentioned her earlier. She has a unique ability where she has like this grapple hook. She kind of does this thing. She puts her arm out there, make sure I ain't ashy. But she puts her, you know, she does her arm like that, and this grapple just comes out of nowhere. Really makes for some crazy box challenges, just trying to like reach some of the boxes. And when I was talking about the difficulty earlier, y'all, just as an FYI, I try to collect the boxes, 100% of them in every stage. So when I'm talking about the difficulty, most of the difficulty derives from trying to collect all the boxes or complete the bonus stages. If you're just trying to get through the level, it's not nearly as difficult, but there is additional challenges to the levels, and I'll talk about that in a second. But anyway, Tana has a little grappling hook. Beyond that, she doesn't really have too many additional unique abilities, but she does like a kick instead of like a spin and stuff like that. So she does definitely feel different when you play her. It's one of those things you almost got to play for yourself to see. You can play as Dingodile, which, I mean, who knew? I don't think I saw any material or anything mentioning that Dingodile was a playable character. But in my opinion, he's the most fun one of them to play. So he's not quite, I think Tana's like, she kind of runs a little bit like kind of fast, but Dingodile like kind of slow and big and clunky, right? So he's a little slower, but he has like this suction gun. He like can suck things and blow them with the gun, including TNT. It makes for some kind of interesting mechanics. So even though he was a little slow, I enjoyed playing as him actually quite a bit. And I feel like he's one of the funnier characters too. There's all this kind of side banter and commentary coming from that character.
Come on down to Dingo's Diner. Food served at Dingo's Diner may not meet the legal definition of food. Consume at your own risk. Side effects of dining at Dingo's Diner may include fatigue, increased body odor, risk-seeking behavior, thinking too much about your uncle, increased hunger.
Whereas the stuff with Tana, I mean, she's cool looking, and I do like Tana, but I feel like it wasn't super unique, with the exception of trying to collect 100% of the boxes, because some of those boxes, like, you know, it's almost like where's Waldo trying to find some of the boxes in Tana's levels, because they'll put something like over here on top of a mountain or something, and you're like, yo, what the hell? Like, how was I even supposed to see that there? So I would have to try the levels like over and over and over again and go through them specifically looking for boxes, especially on Tana's levels. But anyway, so you play as Tana, Dingodile. You can also play as Cortex. So Cortex was my least favorite because his mechanics were, I guess they just didn't seem as fun to me personally. I think it's going to come down to personal opinion. But shooting his laser gun, you can shoot it and create platforms, and you can turn it into a bouncy platform and bounce really high, stuff like that. He also has like a mid-air dash, so you can jump and dash forward. Cool stuff. However, something about it just didn't jive with me. Maybe I don't like Cortex the character as much as a playable character, so much as just like a villain. I love him as a villain. But I don't know, I wasn't feeling the gameplay mechanics. I wasn't feeling like I was having as much fun playing as Cortex, but that's just me.
Everything will go according to my plan.
One of the coolest mechanics is the pipe grinding. So I don't recall any pipe grinding from the previous games. I know they have it in a couple other games. Stuff like that's becoming more popular, I guess, because of like the classic minecart type of stuff from like the Donkey Kong Country games, and that's kind of what it reminds me of, except I actually think this is even more intense than that. Instead of just kind of just pressing the jump button at the correct time, you have to, you're grinding on the pipe, you can slide under the pipe and hang on to it, you can hang on and like kind of move side to side, and you know, in some of the hazards and boxes and stuff, you have to like move to avoid. You can jump from one side, one pipe to the next. It just gets really crazy. There are so many things you can do. Eventually, later on in the game, they start they even make it where they incorporate the quantum mass into the pipe sections, the pipe grinding sections. It's like, man, they just keep adding so many things. It's like freaking impossible for my brain to keep up. I'm like playing like, you know, I'm like about to fall out of my freaking chair trying to keep up with the game. It's just freaking ridiculous. I was having the time of my life because I love challenging games, but I'm not gonna lie, this was tough even for me. Jump, phase, jump. Jump, phase, jump, down, boxes, phase, up, phase. Oh God, dude. Of course, as you might expect, they have like the classic power up. You get the 3 Aku masks, and you get to just plow through everything and totally just wipe everything off the face of the earth. It is freaking amazing. I love it. You know, I'm glad that even though there's a lot of new mechanics in the game, it definitely feels like the 4th Crash game in the series. It feels like a logical evolution. Bitch. Let's go. Oh shit, slippery as fuck. I don't think you can survive if you fall. Fuck this nitro. Oh man, I wish I could kill something. Yo, I still got some more time on this bitch? Okay, let's go. How long does this motherfucker last? Oh shit. On top of everything else, they even switch it up by having some of the rideable creatures. If you remember from the previous games, they had it where you can ride like a polar bear and a tiger and all this stuff. So in this game, they have similar things, and I'm not necessarily going to tell you what you can do, but I'm going to show you at least one of them, so you'll kind of see that in the background or in some clip at some point. But they have a couple different creatures you can ride. There's like a jet board you can ride, which, I mean, who ever heard of that, a jet board? Like, I remember the jet ski in Crash 3, but a jet board, it's a head scratcher, but I mean, it was fun, so I liked it. There's just a lot of different mechanics they added in there. Really cool stuff. They just kept finding ways to switch it up. And originally, that was gonna be one of my criticisms, is they didn't switch it up enough, but apparently I wasn't far enough in the game because they definitely switched it up quite a bit. These assholes are gonna put a bunch of boxes between all these hazards with these low-key, wonky controls. I mean, this shit ain't that hard, but still, I'm just like, damn, you motherfuckers. Oh, they got the time shit too? You gotta freaking be kidding. Okay. Now they full of shit for real. I was just talking shit. So one thing that I'm glad that they didn't screw up here was the freaking death animations. So like when you get killed by an enemy, they like love to humiliate Crash or Coco or whoever you're playing as in like the most stupidest, most ridiculous way. I love the way these things look. I used to love it in the previous games. Like sometimes I would even have an enemy, like if let's say I never got hit by the enemy, I would actually want to intentionally run into the enemy or something or get sabotaged just so I could see what would happen to the character. And I actually did the same thing in this game. I would make it through a level, you know, sometimes untouched, and then I would go back through the level again and say, you know what, I wonder what it's like to get killed by this enemy. It's pretty hilarious. It actually rewards you instead of feeling like a bad thing. It can piss you off sometimes if you're like really mad or if a level is particularly difficult, but a lot of the time it's just funny and I just laugh it off. Look at this big stupid dumbass. So let's talk about bosses for a second. I'm not gonna lie, the bosses in Crash Bandicoot 3 they were pretty damn good. Not gonna lie, they were pretty good. Crash 1 and 2 and whatever, they weren't that good. But Crash 3, they were pretty damn good. But in this game, best bosses in the series, man, hands down. First boss with engine that you get to, it's like music themed. The music goes with the boss. It's a really fun, very challenging boss, especially considering it's the first boss of the freaking game. All the rest of the bosses are pretty good. There's like one that I didn't like as much. I think it's the second one. You can see for yourself, you know, later, not in this review, but if you play the game, you can see for yourself. But all the bosses in the game were really good. Final boss was crazy. Like, if in this game, if you had to beat all the bosses without, you can actually continue. Like if you hit them a couple of times, you continue basically where you left off. So if it was like the old games, then the boss in this game would be some of the most brutal like of any game because they are pretty damn tough. And that last boss was just insane. I'm not gonna show you what it looks like. You know, maybe at some point in the review, again, I'll let you know if there's any spoilers. But it was really fun. All of them were really well thought out. Multi-phase, multi-tiered bosses. It was great stuff.
We'll do this the hard way.
What? You gotta jump do the platform shit? Damn, this is crazy. This is really the first boss? Holy shit. The overall structure, just to let you know, is much wider in scope than the previous games. So the original Crash 3, I feel like I can probably get through the main game in, I don't know, I don't want to say like 30 minutes, but it could be longer than like a couple hours, like maybe like 2 hours or 3 hours or something. Like something pretty fast, just make it through the main game. In this game, unless you're a speedrunner, that shit ain't happening. But because one of the things about it is, so you don't need everything to progress the game, but they have so many collectibles in the game. So you get a gem, for completing the game in under 3 tries. You get a gem for the amount of Wampa fruit you can collect, a certain percentage. There's like 3 different percentages, and over a certain percentage you get a gem for each percentage. So I believe there's 3 of those just for the Wampa fruit. Another gem for beating the level without losing 3 lives, or without losing over 3 lives. There's another hidden gem, so I think that's 5 gems in total. And then there's one more. In my opinion, the hardest one of all, which is collecting all those damn boxes. Collecting the boxes in all the levels has got to be one of the most brutal challenges in any game I've ever played. I am not fucking kidding. This is one of the most challenging games just because of trying to collect all those boxes that I've ever played. It is that hard. I'm not kidding. I couldn't believe it when I started getting really about like midway through the game how hard it became. And it got to the point at first I was getting 100% in like most of the levels toward the beginning, at least the ones that you were able to. Because there are some reasons why you can't. There's some things that cut you off from doing it. The colored gems, right? So, but toward the second half of the game, I just started giving up. I'm like, okay, well, I'm never gonna find this. It's gonna take me hours to find every single box. It's gonna take me hours to get every single box, even if I know where they're at, because it just keeps getting harder and harder. There's also a relic you can earn called Insanely Perfect, where you collect all boxes, don't lose any lives. I got a couple of those, but toward the end, hell no, man. I ain't got that type of time anymore. But I do feel like one of these days I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna complete all those challenges, because I love challenge and it's a lot of fun. If you love challenge, this is damn sure the game for you. God. Gotta be quick. All this damn nitro everywhere, man. Okay. Shit. You gotta be fast as fuck. Damn, they got a Cortex tape up there? Oh shit. Man, look. I already know I done missed some damn boxes somewhere. Alright, don't fuck this up. Don't fuck this. I gotta get boxes down there too? What the fuck? Come on. Fuck! Damn it! So there's already a lot of stuff you can do in the levels. I mentioned the 6 gems that you can collect in each level. Later on, there are some additional collectibles that you can collect in each level. Like basically playing the level over again and collecting all the same stuff again, except like in reverse. So it's called inverted mode. So you do the same level again, except inverted, and the hidden gem is in another hidden location, and usually even harder to find, or sometimes almost impossible to find, right, in the inverted stages. There's also time trial relics where you can get, I think it's like sapphire, gold, and platinum relics. So you can do that. There's time trial ghosts. There are so many different things here for replayability. There's the Insanely Perfect. And if all of that wasn't enough, there's the Cortex tapes. So if you make it to, this is one of the craziest things ever, that at first it seemed easy, but as you progress through the game, it starts to feel almost impossible. You have to reach the tape in the level without losing any lives getting to that point. Now, if you play the levels over and over and over again, of course you're going to be able to do that with pretty much any level. But when you first start playing some of the levels, you're going to be really scratching your freaking head and totally dazed and confused toward the end of the game about how the hell you're supposed to reach some of these tapes. Some of them they put like at the freaking end of the level. Like you got to make it like all the way to the end and find the tape. So you'll do it eventually, but you're not going to do that shit easily, I tell you that much. And once you do that, you actually gotta go and play through the flashback tapes, and those are hard as hell too. So good luck with all that shit. Alright, I done made it all the way here, and I don't know what the fuck to do. How the hell are you supposed to get over there without jumping and hitting that fucking nitro? Fuck it. Shit! I thought I was trying to slide and jump. Slide and jump! Fuck! Something that really impressed me is that they really thought out the whole gems thing. So, you know, again, 6 gems per level. Eventually, you unlock the ability to collect some more with the inverted stages. But the thing that's really cool is that you actually can unlock some skins for your character starting from the very first level. You beat the first level and you can unlock skins. You know, a new skin for Crash and a new skin for Coco. And I actually got like I think a digital download skins. I didn't even know that you got anything for downloading the game. I just wanted the game and I didn't feel like going anywhere with everything that's going on. So I just downloaded the game and got some additional skins. So that's nice. But when you get more gems, you can unlock more. I got about, I think, half of them. But toward the second half of the game, again, it gets really challenging. So it got to the point where they also want you to get more gems. So the level's harder, and they want you to get like more gems. It goes from being like, I think like 5 or 6 to being like 7, 8, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I think at some point it goes all the way up to 11 or 12, like, which I think is the max is 12. So you got to get literally every single gem to get the skins. So it's a great incentive and really good reward. I feel like more games need this. So instead of you just feeling like you have to complete the challenge just because, you complete it and you get an additional reward. So it's nice that they include that there. There's also on going back to the flashback tapes for Cortex, you actually have relics for that as well for completing getting all the boxes. So again, more box collection. And those Cortex tapes are hard as hell, so you're gonna have a hard time getting the boxes in those as well. It just really feels like they just stacked lots and lots of tasks to do, and I'm glad they didn't kind of cater to like this super casual crowd. You know, this is definitely a hardcore game in terms of difficulty, but you know, there's plenty of checkpoints and all that stuff, so you know, the super casual shouldn't hopefully get too frustrated, at least not till they get close to the end of the game. Come on, fucking son of a bitch. I'm gonna briefly tell y'all about the soundtrack. Soundtrack is superb. It's one of the best soundtracks in any of the Crash games. They all had a pretty solid soundtrack. I think maybe the first one is probably like my least favorite. But the soundtrack in this game is definitely one of the best, very high quality. I'm not sure what they used, if any of it was orchestrated or anything like that, but it just sounded really cool. I will say it doesn't sound like very old school. It sounds like a new game, like a modern game for sure. It has a whole different feel than you might expect from some of the previous games. It feels familiar, but it feels different, and I like that. The only thing I'll say though is I think the music in Crash 3 was hitting like a little bit harder, particularly on the gem path levels. Whereas here, the music is definitely a little bit more ambient, but it's still gooder than a motherfucker. Let's get into some negatives. Is there anything wrong with the game? Is there any problems with the game? Yes! Yes, there's problems with the game. The freaking polar bear section, man. There's a polar bear section in this game. This freaking polar bear is so fucking hard to control. I was pissed playing as this polar bear because, again, I was collecting all the boxes in the level, and this polar bear controls like shit. It was trash. It was horrible. I couldn't believe, I was like, man, they had to do so good with the game and fuck up this part with the polar bear, because I was really freaking mad, man. Like, I wasn't having fun playing that particular level, and this was the first time me playing the game where I wasn't having fun. I just wanted this level to be over with. And lucky for me, I was triumphant. I actually completed the level. I somehow didn't miss any boxes in the level, including on there's the polar bear section is just a portion of the level, but it's a pretty significant chunk of the level. But I managed to get every box in the level on my first actual attempt through the level. So I did lose trying to get the boxes, of course, but I didn't have to re-enter the level later and go back and retry the entire level over again and repeat the stupid polar bear section. So I'm done with that level. As far as I'm concerned, I'm done with it for good. Fuck all that insanely perfect and all that shit. Man, maybe one day I'll be super old, and if my PS4 still works, I'll do it. But for now, I'm good. I collect all the boxes in that particular level. So look at this bullshit. I literally hit 3 fucking boxes right here instead of all 4. This makes no goddamn sense, man. Bullshit. Let's talk about replayability for the game. Generally speaking, the Crash games have some of the best replayability, period. Mainly because of like the time trials and stuff, and there's usually some sort of hidden gems and things like that. So it already had good design in the past. But now it's pretty much out the wazoo. You got all those skins to collect, all those Cortex tapes, the gems which lead to getting the skins. You got the colored gems on top of that. You got the time trial ghosts. you actually got to complete all the Cortex. You got to find the Cortex tape, then complete the Cortex levels. You get to play as different characters in different levels. The insanely perfect run, so not lose any lives. There's just a lot to do, and nobody's completing this shit anytime soon. I don't care if I go to YouTube and I see somebody already did it, like on the day the game came out. They probably had the game beforehand, because I'm telling you, I'm playing the game, and you're just not getting 100% in this game. You're gonna be playing this shit for a long time. That's a good thing as far as I'm concerned. Very challenging, a lot of shit to do. So, you know, don't expect 100% completion anytime soon. So, what did I think of the game? Overall, obviously I liked it, y'all. I gotta say that even though Crash Warped is my favorite of the original trilogy, I really enjoyed Crash 4 more overall. There's more to collect. The levels are longer. Levels are more challenging. There's more mechanics and crazier mechanics. You know, they weren't just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what stuck. So there's a lot to unpack here. They really went crazy with some of the platforming challenges. Graphics are incredible. Had a lot of fun. Only negatives were soundtrack wasn't quite as solid. Like the gem paths from Crash 3 is fucking unmatched. Like there's nothing better in the whole series than all the gem paths from Crash 3 for as far as the soundtrack. But the soundtrack in this game is very solid. It's like at around a level 9, you know? So that's my score, 9 out of 10. So love the game. The main reason I probably would still give it a 10 if it wasn't for that damn polar bear section. Like that polar bear section was fucking awful. Trying to collect all the boxes in that section was just atrocious. I really wish they would have like took a little bit more time on that polar bear, because it almost felt like they intentionally made it very tough to control. And to me, that wasn't fun. I don't like it. I like it when controls can be a little challenging sometimes, but I don't know, man, not like that. Something about that just wasn't right. I didn't like it. And I don't think it was me, because everything else in the game I didn't have any trouble with. Just that damn polar bear section, I just wasn't feeling it. But there's so much to do in this game. I'm gonna go back and play. Like, trust me, this ain't the last I've seen of the game. I feel like playing this shit right now. So I'm looking forward to actually jumping back into it and playing a lot more. Might even 100% it. I just don't know if I want to jump back into that damn polar bear section to get the insanely perfect relic by getting all the boxes and beating it on one try. That shit with them shitty controls is gonna be awful. Awful, awful. If I do 100% the game, I might play that level early just so I don't have to like dread doing it like later on. But overall, y'all, love this game. Highly recommend to anybody, especially if you were on the fence, you're worried about, oh, is Activision even make good games anymore? Like, you know, is there going to be DLC and all this stuff? Like, hell, if I know, y'all, maybe they will have DLC in it. You know, but for the time being, you can get all the skins and stuff without DLC. And, you know, even if they add it where you can pay for it later, I'm sure they'll still have it where you can still just collect the gems to get everything. I feel like they're probably just going to add a couple extra levels here and there, and you know, some stuff nobody cares about that you can pay for, or at least people like me won't care about. So overall, y'all, 9 out of 10. Definitely try the game out if you haven't. That shit's crucial. Play that shit. Talk to y'all next time. Peace.
Yes, it is true. The Bandicoot has brought all of the crystals and all of the gems to me. Ultimate power is mine. The world as we know it is about to end.